Hey there, fourth grade. Excuse me, I want to spend another day on this idea I started with you yesterday because I think it's kind of a toughie. And I want to show you a kind of a second strategy or a second way to think about it that I think might help. So, I'm going to give you a choice here. We're going to work actually the same example as yesterday for your WeDo. So you can either go back to yesterday's page if you have room to show a second way down underneath. Excuse me, hiccuping. Or you can just start a new page if you don't have room. But we're going to do the same WeDo problem just with a different strategy. So your pick. So either start a new page or find yesterday's page, and when you have done so, mark it, close your notebook, and think with me. All right, so here was our I do from yesterday. I want to review how to do it with yesterday's strategy. So it says a lap around the Brookwood track is 1/4 of a mile. Ronald runs 3/4 of a mile on the track every day after school. How many laps does he run in a week? Remember, we've been talking about making sure you pay attention to the question. Not how far does he run in a week. Say how many laps does he run in a week is the question. So yesterday, here's what we kind of did. We said, okay, well, if he runs after school 3/4 of a mile every day, that's 5 days times 3/4 of a mile. And that's the same as 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. And that's the same as 3 times 1/4 plus 3 times 1/4 plus 3 times 1/4 plus 3 times 1/4 plus 3 times 1/4. And if I look at all those different 1/4s I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 of them. So we could say that that's the same as running 15 times 1/4. This problem and this problem are exactly the same. They're just different ways to think about it. Right? This tells you 5 days, 3/4 of a mile. This tells you 15 laps and 1/4 of a mile each. So they're really, these both give you the same answer, how far he ran. But if you think about it like this and you solve it this way, it's going to tell you how many miles he ran. Right? And if you think about it this way, you can see how many laps he ran. Right? So this is a unit fraction. Since it was a 1/4 of a mile track, we had a unit fraction. So really just changing 5 times 3/4 into 15 times 1/4. Okay? And so I want to show you another way to think about that, right? So I'm going to do the same question, but I'm just going to show you with a visual way. If kind of working out the math steps like this was not the most clear for you, or you don't think it's something you'd remember, let's talk about a visual way to show it too. So same thing, same problem, so I'm still thinking about 5 times 3/4. And so if I draw that with a visual model, which we've already learned how to do, I could draw, let's see, I'm going to draw a few of these and then start filling in his running every day. Let me try 4. I don't know exactly how many I'm going to need. So we learned really 2 ways to draw this visual model. So one of them was to do like this, was to say, okay, so he runs like 3/4 of a mile on Monday, and then he runs 3/4 of a mile on Tuesday, and then he runs 3/4 of a mile on Wednesday, and again on Thursday, 3/4, and again on Friday, 3/4. And what we always did with that is we said, okay, well, that means he ran 3 3/4 miles, which is true, but it's not the question. The question is, how many laps does he run in a week? So when I look at this visual model I drew for 5 times 3/4, I can look at that and say, well, this model really also shows me another problem. I also see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are colored in. So I can look at this and I can see it as 5 times 3/4, or I can see it as 15 times 1/4, because 15 different 1/4 sections are colored in. So just like up here I said 5 times 3/4 is really the same thing as 15 times 1/4. I can see that really clear when I draw it. So when I draw out my model this way, I can look at this and say 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, all the way up to 15. So this, again, this tells me how far, but since the laps are 1/4 of a mile, this tells me how many laps of 1/4 mile each. All right, so maybe that strategy is a little more clear to you than the first one with the numbers. I don't know. Okay, open your notebook. Let's do this one together. All right, so here's our same one as yesterday. Second example from yesterday. Hamburger meat comes in 1/3 pound packages. All 5 people who come to Naya's family get-together bring 2/3 of a pound of meat. How many packages do they bring? So when I see this question, I feel like I'm answering the problem 5 times 2/3. They each bring 2/3 of a pound, 5 people, right? So if I'm going to draw that, this is a pound, and I'm going to divide it into thirds, and this is a pound. And 1 pound. And again, I don't really know how many I need. Maybe I'll just draw 4. If I don't use them, it's okay. And then I'm going to start shading this in a way that shows this question. So I'm going to show 2/3 one time, 2/3 2 times, 2/3 3 times, 2/3 4 times, and 2/3 5 times. So that's a visual model for the same problem we always did, 5 times 2/3. Now, again, it's going to be tempting after you draw this nice model and to say that the answer is 3 1/3 pounds, right? And you would be right, but wrong question. Just make sure you know what question you're being asked. If I asked you how many pounds of meat did they bring, that'd be great, but I didn't ask that. So when I see this, I'm looking for 1/3 pound packages. And when I look at that question, in addition to seeing, I can see clearly that that's 5 times 2/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 2/3. But I can also look at that, and you can also see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different 1/3 pound packages. 1/3 sections. And so since that's the question, that tells me they brought 10 packs of 1/3 pound each. And so the answer is 10 packages. All right, I use that unit fraction to figure it out. So I really just take that model and I see 2 different math problems involving the same question. And that's how it works. So I hope that's maybe more clear than yesterday, if yesterday's strategy didn't work well for you. If yesterday's strategy did work well for you, well, then now you just have 2 strategies in the bag. I hope that's a big help. If you need to go back and watch either of these examples again so that you come to class really ready, prepared, and understanding this, please do. Once you feel like you've got it, and you've got it neatly drawn and written in your notes, you're all set. See you tomorrow.